President Bongbong Marcos is demanding an explanation from St. Timothy Construction Corporation over the alleged failed rehabilitation of a river protection structure in Barangay Bulusan, Bulacan. Marcos, Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon, and Bulacan Governor Daniel Fernando inspected the site on Friday, August 15. They found that the structure was incomplete, which was contrary to what official records indicated.
Butas-butas pala itong dike na ito. Dapat buo ito dahil sa report namin completed ito. Bukod pa doon, may question sa kalidad ng ating flood protection dahil yung bakal na nandun sa loob parang hindi na nakabaon sa lupa. Kaya dumadaan yung tubig sa ilalim naman.
Based on the sumbong sa Pangulo website, the rehabilitation project was tagged as completed in February 2023. It cost the government 96.4 million pesos. Marcos expressed dismay that parts of Barangay Bulusan remain flooded from rains brought by the southwest monsoon 3 weeks ago, describing the area as a swamp. He says the contractor should explain what happened with the project's execution.
St. Timothy ang kontratista dito. Kaya titingnan natin, kailangan pasagutin natin kung bakit ganitong ginawa nila. Mas mabuti pa, dapat pumunta sila rito, pakita nila gano'ng kahirap ang buhay na binigay nila sa mga kababayan natin.
Marcos then urges residents living near the river to report any anomalies they notice in the structure through the sumbong sa Pangulo website. On August 11, Marcos revealed the initial findings of the government's assessment of flood control projects under his administration. He disclosed how only 15 contractors cornered 100 billion pesos of the government's 545 billion peso flood mitigation budget from July 2022 to May 2025. One of these companies is St. Timothy Construction Corporation. Mayor Vico Soto earlier said St. Timothy Construction Corporation is owned by the Discayas, the family of Sara Discaya, who was his rival in the 2025 elections. The Department of Foreign Affairs maintains that the Philippines holds no responsibility for the collision of 2 Chinese vessels when they encroached into waters off Scarborough Shoal early this week. In a statement on Friday, August 15, the DFA says the collision between the Chinese ships was an unfortunate outcome but was not caused by the Philippines' actions. On August 11, China Coast Guard 3104 chased BRP Suluan when it was on a mission to assist Filipino fishermen off Scarborough Shoal. The China Coast Guard performed a rescue maneuver on the PCG ship and then collided with People's Liberation Army Navy warship 164. However, DFA spokesperson Angelina Escalona clarifies that Beijing has not formally asked the Philippine government for any form of compensation for the incident. Nevertheless, the DFA stresses China still owes the Philippines for another dangerous collision last year in another part of the West Philippine Sea. The department reminds China to pay for the damage to a Philippine supply ship and severe injuries suffered by Philippine Navy personnel during a violent confrontation on June 17 last year. In June 2024, China Coast Guard personnel rammed, towed, and even boarded the Philippine Navy boats during the resupply mission for the BRP Sierra Madre, grounded in Ayungin Shoal. The incident led to a Philippine Navy personnel losing his finger. Scarborough Shoal lies within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. China continues to reject the 2016 arbitral ruling that declared the shoal a traditional fishing ground for the Philippines, Beijing, and Vietnam. Judicial and Bar Council releases the list of applicants for the position of Ombudsman. The Ombudsman is tasked with investigating and prosecuting government officials accused of graft and corruption. The post became vacant after former Ombudsman Samuel Martires' term ended on July 27, 2025. The official list of applicants includes prominent names from the judiciary and various branches of government, indicating a high-stakes selection process. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla is included in the list. Remulla was earlier reported to have been disqualified due to a pending case before the Ombudsman. However, the Supreme Court issued a statement denying the report, saying the vetting process has not yet started. Judicial and Bar Council is a constitutional body tasked with screening nominees for the judiciary and top ombudsman posts. The council is encouraging public participation by providing feedback through an online survey or by sending formal opposition to a candidate's application. It says the public may answer the online survey until August 26, 2025. The Philippine Coast Guard says rocket debris bearing markings of the People's Republic of China was found floating along the shoreline of Occidental Mindoro. In a statement on Friday, August 15, the PCG says a local fisherman retrieved the floating debris in Sitio Gunting, Barangay Bonbon on August 14. According to the PCG, a 50-year-old resident of Barangay Binacas discovered the object while fishing 1 nautical mile off Barangay Bonbon. The PCG says the debris is believed to be linked to a Chinese rocket launch between July 15 to July 17. The object measures 10 feet wide and 14 feet long, adding it was made of alloy material and bore the Chinese flag. The PCG says it secured the debris for safekeeping and proper disposition. The Philippine Space Agency earlier confirmed the launch of a long March 7 rocket from China on July 15. The Philippine Space Agency said debris from the rocket launch could have fallen 33 nautical miles away from Scarborough Shoal and 88 nautical miles away from Cabra Island, Occidental Mindoro. It also identified drop zones approximately 51 nautical miles from Recto Bank and 180 nautical miles away from Busuanga, Palawan. The agency said unburned debris from rockets may float around the area and wash toward nearby coasts.